All right, Algebra 2, I'm on page 603. We're going to do 27, 29, and 31 together. Okay, so our instructions here, our instructions are to write an equation. All right, write an equation for the parabola. But you'll notice that they gave us different things. They gave us like the vertex directrix on 27, the focus directrix on 29, vertex and focus on 31. So I'm going to show you how to do this. I would remind you that you can find these kind of formulas, right? These formulas from yesterday on page, I think it's 599. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to have to look very carefully to see, okay, we're going to have to look very carefully to see if this is an x equals or a y equals parabola. Reminder, when it's y equals, the parabola will open up and down. When it's x equals, the parabola will open left and right. Okay, so looking at the vertex doesn't tell us anything about which way it opens. Okay, so what we need to do is look at the directrix here on 27. You see how the directrix is y equals? Okay, if you look on 599, you'll see that y equals directrix. Okay, when we have a directrix that's y equals, we're going to have a y equals a formula like this. All right, where it's y equals a multiplied by x minus 8. So this parabola on, excuse me, on 27, this parabola is opening up and down. Okay, so we're literally just going to go ahead and plug what we know into our formula here. Okay, so I know that h is 1, so I'm going to say x minus 1 squared. And then I also know that the k is 8, so I'll put a plus 8 back here. Okay. Now, the next part of this is we need to be able to solve for the a. And if you remember, or at least from the chart, I can show you right here, the directrix formula is y equals k minus 1 over 4a. And look, right, look, a is in this formula, right? A is in the formula, and that's what we're looking for, right? We need to put a in our equation here. So I want to copy this down right here. Y equals k minus 1 over 4a. And we're going to solve that thing for a. The good news is we know what y is. They told us that, right? And we also know what k is. Okay, so we're going to plug in y from our directrix formula. We're going to plug in k from our vertex. All right, so I have 3 equals 8 minus 1 over 4a. All right. We're going to solve this equation for a. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 8. Okay, I'm going to subtract 8 here and here. Cancel. 3 minus 8 gives us a, I'm going to write over here, gives us a negative 5, right? Negative 5 equals, and then I have negative 1 over 4a. Okay? And we can just put this negative with the 1 up here, right? We can just make that negative 1. All right, so we have to move this thing over here. We're going to times by 4a on both sides. Times by 4a on both sides. Cancels. And negative 5 times a 4a is a negative 20a. Which leaves me with negative 1. That was what was on top. Here we obviously will divide. And negative 1 over negative 20 reduces to 1 over 20. So our a value is 1/20th. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug that in for our a. And this is the equation that has a vertex at 1,8 and a directrix at 3. Okay, 29 then gives us the focus and the directrix. Okay, so let's go back to our sheet here. If you see that the directrix is x equals, right, here's our other sheet. The directrix is x equals, it's going to be x equals formula. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy this down. This is opening left and right. This is opening left and right. All right, so let's come back over here for a second. Okay, actually, I'm going to keep our formulas here because the directrix is equal to x equals h minus 1 over 4a, and the focus here is a point, it's going to be h plus 1 over 4a, and then it's comma k. Okay, so that's the focus, and that's the directrix. Those are the formulas for x equals. All right, so let's look at what we've got. First off, we know what the k is, right? See how the focus here, right? The focus. All right, so this is 4. All right, so the focus is 4, or sorry, the k is 4, which is here. So I can just say y minus 4 squared. All right, so what we need is we need to find h, and we need to find a. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our directrix now. Okay, so if we look at our directrix, we again know what x is. It's 10. Okay, but if we plug 10 in here, watch what happens. We get 10 equals h minus 1 over 4a. And the problem is now we have two variables in an equation. Okay, so hopefully you guys are starting to think way back to Algebra 1 what we do when we have an equation with two different variables. Well, I'm thinking that this is going to be a system, right? A system of linear equations. A reminder, a system just means it's more than two or more equations with two or more variables. So let's go to the focus part, right? Let's look at the focus here. Look, see how this is h plus 1 over 4a? We know what this actually equals, right? It's equal to 2, right? They told us that it's 2 comma 4 for the focus. This is the formula, so I'm going to say 2 equals h plus 1 over 4a. Okay? And if you remember, this is a system now because we have an h and an a and two equations. So what we could do is we could graph this thing, right, on a coordinate plane, which would be a pain in our neck to do. What we also could do is use substitution or elimination. So I'm going to use the elimination method. You can solve this how you wish. All right, but elimination, we're looking for opposites or evens. So we actually have both. These are, or I said opposites or evens. Opposites or the sames. These are the same thing. These are opposites, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel. I'm going to get rid of the fraction just because I don't like those. Okay, I would always get rid of these. Opposites add. Okay, so we'll say 2 plus 10 is 12. 1h plus 1h is equal to 2h. And remember, elimination, this is the elimination. 1/4 a plus a negative 1/4 a cancels. So it looks like h is going to equal 6. When we divide, h is 6. So that's another part of our equation. I'm going to put plus 6 up here. Now, not only does h help us, because we need it, it's also going to help us find, look, it's also going to help us find the other variable. We can plug 6 into either of these here and solve. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just plug it in right here. Okay, so I'm going to say this is 2 equals, instead of h, I'm going to say 2 equals 6 plus 1 over 4a. And now we will solve this equation for a. If we subtract 6, we get a negative 4 equals a 1 over 4a. Reminder that we will move this 4a by multiplying both sides like this, which gives us a negative 16a equals 1. And when we divide, a will be a negative 1/16. So I will now plug this guy in up here. All right, so this is our equation for number, what was that? Number 29. Okay, so that was a little tricky just because we had to use substitution elimination to solve. But again, I would cancel out the 1 over 4a's, right? I would get those fractions out of there. All right, let's look at 31 now, last one. All right, hang with me. I know this is a long video again. I know yesterday's was really long. But let's look at 31 here. Okay, so they gave us a vertex and the focus. Okay, so this one is tricky. Okay, this one is very tricky because they don't give us the directrix. So let's use our heads and let's think about how we can tell whether this is an x equals parabola or a y equals. Okay, what I want you to notice, if you haven't already, is that both of the h values, right? Both of these are the same, or at least the x value. I should say it that way. The x value. This is a 9 and this is a 9. So I'm going to go ahead and bring you back to my sheet here, which you can again find on 599. Look at this. Y equals vertex, focus. See how the vertex and the focus are the same? Right? The k's, the y values are different in the vertex and the focus. And if we use our other sheet, let's look at x equals. See how this is different, h, and then down here we have an h plus 1 over 4a. These are different x values for the vertex and the focus. So, since these 9s are the same, they match up in this equation. This is y equals, okay? So this is going, it's opening up and down. Okay, it's opening up and down. Oh, that was a terrible K there. All right, so the good news is this. We know H and K. We can just plug those in right now. We say X minus 9 squared plus 6. And now all we have to do is solve for the A. So I'm going to come back to my paper here. Let's go to the focus, right? Because the focus tells us what that Y value is going to be. The focus is K plus 1 over 4A. Right, so we got K plus 1 over 4A. And guess what that equals? Right, this is the Y value of the focus, which was 5. So I'm going to say this equals 5. Oh, and I'm going to recenter there so you can see it. The difference is we know what K is, right? We can plug K in here. Our K from the vertex, remember this is always HK, is 6. Okay, so I'm going to put a 6 in here, and I'm going to rewrite my problem as 5 equals 6 plus 1 over 4A. And now we can solve it for our A. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 6 on both sides, which gives me a negative 1 equals 1 over 4A. Let's times 4A on both sides. These cancel, so I'm left with a negative 4A is equal to, I think, just 1. And it looks like when we divide, A is going to equal negative 1/4, right? A should be negative 1/4. I will plug it in right up here. All right, and that completes number 31. Okay, so I got this video done quicker than I thought. I do anticipate having some questions here. If you don't, that's great. If you do, just let me know. I understand that this is kind of the trickier part of this section. So if you have questions, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Okay. I want you to try a couple of problems for me here. I got to find my sheet real quick. All right. Looks like, go to page 603. All right. To page 603 for me, please. I want you to try... where was it? It was 9. Yeah, 9 through 11 all, please. 9 through 11 all, right? Go ahead and try those. And if you have questions, remember, drop them in the comments so I can help you on this. Good luck.